the epiphany goes off in your mind when you do $1 million in a day. You think to yourself, what have I been doing with like all the other days of my life?
Today I'm here with one of my close friends, Eileen Wilder, and she's done not once, but twice now, which is making $1 million in a day.
Because the clients, they just want the end result. So they don't care if it's 6,000, 30,000. They're like, can you help me? As soon as we did that, 34 people came right in and that was it. I kept increasing my conviction is what I call it, like almost every couple phone calls. So I would be like selling the same package I was for $297 at $6K within a couple of weeks. Yeah. High ticket makes it go faster. Not selling one-to-one, but selling one-to-many will also make it go faster. So now it's like I'm having one sales conversation, but I'm having it with 20, 40, 100, 200 people. Somebody paying me for knowledge. That was like...
When I got first started in this business, people that talk about numbers like that wasn't a thing that we even shot towards or tried. And I remember the very first person in this industry was a guy named John Reese. He made $1 million in a day. And I remember I was like a 22 or 23-year-old kid when I heard that. And for me, it was like somebody had broken the 4-minute mile. You guys have heard the story about Roger Bannister, and everyone said it's impossible to break the 4-minute mile. Then Roger Bannister broke it, and then like 20 days later, someone else broke it. And now it's been like 2,000 or 3,000 people have broken it since then. And I remember for me, when John Reese broke the $1 million day, is like, that's what gave me belief that it was possible. And so my goal with this video is Eileen's here. She's done it not once now, but twice. And just a few years ago, you were new to this whole world. This is like this is not like she's been doing this for 40 years now. She's finally got to the point, like, this is something that's newer for you. And so my goal is for everyone who's watching this, that I want this to be the 4-minute mile. I want you guys setting this as like a goal and intention, not like, oh, this is impossible, it's never gonna happen. But the reason why it was powerful for me is when John Reese did, I was like, I'm gonna do that. I gotta figure out a way to do it. And so my goal for you guys is to hear this and then like set that as an intention and go like, I gotta figure out how to reverse engineer and actually do that. So that's it. Eileen, thanks for coming to hang out with me today. I'm excited.
Fun.
I want to give people a timeline. Like, when did you transition into like, you're gonna become a speaker?
Yeah.
These kind of things. How long ago was that?
About 4 years ago, I came to your event. And up until that time, I actually was in nonprofit ministry. So I was a pastor for 18 years. But a friend of mine said, you have to come to Funnel Hacking Live. And I was like, what's that? And she's like, it's a marketing event. I was like, cool, what's marketing? I didn't understand anything about sales or really like the internet. I had just been a preacher and a pastor and been speaking all over the world. But we weren't making a lot of money in the nonprofit ministry. So we sat in the back of your event and started hearing about things like offers or like, I don't know, you just were using new words like contribution and teaching and training and online. And my eyes just felt like, and then you had a bunch of people come up and they get awards for doing $1 million and doing even more than that. And I was just like, what is happening right now? I am so confused, but this is amazing. It was like a rock concert, but it felt like Disney World, but we're like making millions of dollars. And I was like, whatever this is, I would love this, please. So
you learned about it, and then it's interesting because I have a lot of people come into our world who go to bed and they go back home and nothing ever happens.
Yes.
But for you, like, you went and took action very quickly.
Yeah.
I know you made a video that was a little janky.
Yeah.
I want to hear that part of the story.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, well, you got up and you were like, listen, guys, this is what you need to do. You need to like make an offer. And I was like, sweet, what is an offer? And then you like mapped it out and you're like, it's like packaging up your expertise and your knowledge into this thing. I was like, that sounds insane. I still didn't know how to do that or what that looked like exactly, but I was so excited from the event. And you were like, you can do this. And I was like, I can do this. This is what I just believed, and went home and made a janky video in my 2-bedroom apartment. I turned the camera, my iPhone, so you couldn't see like my bed, and
it was like in your actual bedroom.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I still have it, and it's so bad, and it's just 2 minutes long. But I'm like, it's my first attempt at like, hey guys, if you'd be interested in this thing, and I'm super awkward and you know, it was a terrible video, but I put it out on social media. I was like just messaging friends, and sure enough, like people were showing interest, and then I got on the phone with them and I started selling, making money.
So the very first time you sold somebody something,
yeah.
How was that? Because I'm sure you never...
No, I'd never taken, what the big thing for me was somebody paying me for knowledge that was in my head.
Yeah.
That was like, I mean, I tried to, when someone said yes, I remember I sold it for $297. I tried to act like so cool. I was like, it's only $297. And they were like, I'm in. I was like, I mean, I was like, are you sure? Because it's in my head. Yeah, exactly. But that process was just transformative for me, because it was the very beginning of seeing that other people will pay other people for tips, training, knowledge, expertise, shortcut the process for them. And I was like, just started making sense for them and for me. And I got excited, and I just kept going on the phone, kind of selling those offers and increasing the price. And that's when we just,
So we'll talk about the pricing, because I'm a big reverse engineer math. So I remember one day sitting down when I was trying to figure out how am I going to make $1 million.
Yep.
My first goal was $1 million in a year. I didn't set that for a day. How do I do that? So I reverse engineered. And I remember I was like, $1 million divided by 365, and the number, I don't know, do you know this number off the top of your head? This is my favorite number.
Okay.
$2,739.73 a day, every day for a year is $1 million. So I was like, okay, $2,739.73.
Wow. Okay.
Like, how do I make $2,700 a day, basically?
Right.
And so I remember back then, you probably heard my story. I made a potato gun DVD. I started selling that. I was making like $20 a day on that. So I was like, okay, I've got one thing making $20 a day. Now I got to think of another thing. So I started creating all these different funnels, trying to. And so eventually I had like 10 different businesses all making $10, like $30, and then like trying to get to that number.
Interesting.
And it was hard though, because I'm juggling now 20 different offers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you went the opposite way. You took 200, your offer's 297, and then and so the math is like at 297 you have to sell 10 a day every single day for a year to make $1 million.
Okay. Good.
But you didn't do that. So how did you?
Okay, so my friend Jackie, who invited me to your event, she was like, listen, there's this thing called high ticket. And I was like, what's that? And she's like, it's not low ticket, it's a high ticket. And high ticket is way better because you can serve the clients at a higher level and like do all this cool stuff and like hire a team and they love it. But you also get a cash infusion. I was like, that sounds great. And sounds faster to me.
So that's the problem with people. You buy a $27 ebook from me. I can't. That's like I can give it to you, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah, 100%. She was like, and then we started studying even deeper, like that. In many ways, that people are looking for a fast result, especially if they're trying to change their life, or maybe they're wrestling with something in their health, that they would just prefer to spend high tickets so they can get that result faster. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I can help people quickly, so let's just go that way. And
did you go to like 297 and then just jumped it up, or did you kind of incrementally grow it over time?
Yeah, so I kept increasing my conviction, is what I call it, like almost every couple phone calls. So I would be like, okay, it's 287, then I'd double it, and they'd be like, okay, 600, okay, it's 1200. I kept going like 32. I don't even know how to double the numbers, but like just kept going until 4 or 6K. I think I stopped right there. So I was selling the same package I was for 297 at 6K within a couple of weeks. Yeah, and that was awesome.
That's crazy.
My husband was like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know, but it's like, it's working, and the clients were loving it, and it was awesome.
So cool. So now you got that part figured out. And then how did you, because going from there to $1 million a day, like what was the transition?
Now I'm on the phone all day and I'm getting like tired. And then this is common for people who sell on the phone, or if they have a big sales team, it just creates it's like a lot of things and exhaustion. So then I learned first about this from you, was selling one-to-many. So that idea, I was like, oh my gosh. So just like high ticket makes it go faster, not selling one-to-one, but selling one-to-many will also make it go faster. So now it's like I'm having one sales conversation, but I'm having it with 20, 40, 100, 200 people one time, and then they all hear it, and then they can all buy. So the first time I implemented that, I had a small room. Actually I had like a small little ballroom. No, it was not even a ballroom. It was a very small room with 12 people in it. And I did my presentation one-to-many, and I closed 6.
Half of them
bought. And that day I did like 108,000 in one day. This is my first 6-figure day. So I was like, and I turned to my husband, who was like still Uber driving to support us. And I was like, this is it.
You can quit.
I was like, it's high ticket and it's one-to-many. It's the fastest path. So we just like quickly figured out how to do the numbers so you could do $1 million in a day.
Yeah. That's cool. With interesting, you said that. I remember my very first 6-figure day was similar. My price point was only $2,000, but I was in a room about 500 people, and the same day I spoke, and people ran the back and they bought. But it was the same thing. One presentation for 500 people, and I think I did 180,000 in sales. And I was just like. And I remember because, Brent Cole-Peters on my team, Brent had just started working with me. I met him in college. And so like, he didn't understand this world at all. He was there. And I remember getting off stage and I was just like, I can't believe we did this. And he's like, you made more in 90 minutes than my parents make in a year, than teachers make in 5 years. Like he just couldn't fathom that. And I was like,
it's so great.
Because we're so used to thinking about like trading dollar for time. So like I make $50 an hour, $100 an hour. And like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, again, now high ticket, now you go from one to one, you can make $10,000 an hour and then go one to many. And it's like, the sky's the limit. Okay. So then let's transition now to your very first $1 million day. What did that look like? What was the setup like? What was...
Yep. So one of the cool things was just learning how to make high ticket offers, like learning the skill set of offer creation. So I was like, okay, I can make kind of a $6,000 offer. Like what would it look like if I made a $30,000 offer? And I think to do $1 million in a day, I think it's like 34 sales at 30K puts you over $1 million. So I was like, okay, I just need to get enough people in the room where I could sell 34 people at this $30,000. So we just kind of reverse engineered how many people would need to be in the room to sell 34. Because when we did that, I learned that even if you're selling at those higher price points, like it's really just the same thing. Like it's like, because the clients, they just want the end result. So they don't care if it's 6,000 or 30,000. They're like, can you help me? You know what I mean? You're like, yes, I can 100% help you. So as soon as we did that, 34 people came right in and that was it. Like, and then, I mean, it's funny now, numbers start to feel funnier at this point in time, but the epiphany goes off in your mind when you do $1 million in a day. You think to yourself, what have I been doing with like all the other days of my life? What have I been focusing on, or what am I focusing on in my business that isn't collecting people in a room to present an offer like this? Like, it just doesn't make sense, really.
Yeah. So often we get caught up in all the little, the busy things, or the things like, oh, there's this problem, and this problem, and this and that. And like, I have a very similar situation where like, there's probably 4 days a year where I make the majority of my money.
Wow.
And then the other 365, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but, you know, and obviously those things all are part of it, is building audiences and stuff like that. But it's like, there are definitely times where it's like, these actions are what makes the most amount of money. Like, how do we engineer and have those more often inside of our business? I'm curious now, for that offer, for the $30,000 offer, how often do you offer that right now? Like, is it certain times? Is it all the time? Is it? Right
now, we're probably offering it once a month, because now we have it like evergreen. So it's just like once a month that we're offering that. And I've learned, because sometimes it stresses people out, like, well, what's in the $30,000 offer? And, you know, that sounds like that's going to be so hard to deliver on that. But it's really not. Like, there's so many it's just leverage happens at so many points in business. So it's like, to me, leverage is like, let's just make this offer more often. So let's make this once a month. Once a month. And let's not offer a 12-month or super long program. Let's just like make a $30,000 workshop. So then we have to deliver it like that. So it's like time compression in every facet. Yeah.
It's so cool. It's funny because I'm sure people watch this right now. Like, one of the things when I got this role, I thought high ticket was one thing. Like,
right.
In fact, for me, like $5,000, my first start, like, that's high ticket. That's the most expensive. Sure. So my first offer, it was $5,500. I remember.
That was your first offer?
First high ticket offer.
That you bought or you sold?
That I sold.
Okay.
And I remember then I joined Dan Kenny's mastermind group, and I go to the mastermind group, and everyone had a chance to present their business. So I presented mine. I'm like, I have a free DVD. People buy it. We call them on the phone. We sell a $5,500 thing.
Yeah.
And I remember Bill Glazer asked me, he's like, well, what do you sell to people who bought the $5,500 offer? I was like, what do you mean? Like, they gave me all their money. Like, that's it. That's the end of, like, that's what's possible. He said, no, you don't understand. You have a $5,500 buyer there. Like, that person wants to give you more money. And I was like, I didn't understand it. Now, to put in perspective, I had paid, I think, $18,000 to be in that mastermind. And then that night of the mastermind, Bill Glazer got up and he presented this documentary they're making called The Phenomenon. And for $30,000, you could be interviewed in The Phenomenon. And there's 18 of us in the room, and 9 of the 18 people gave him $30,000. And I was like, wow, I'm an $18,000 buyer. I didn't even understand that. And like, it blew my mind. Like, I remember, like, my whole world shifted. I was like, I thought $5,000 was the peak, right? And I saw, like, I had paid 18, which I thought was now the new peak. And then the people with 18, half of them paid 30, and it kept raising. And so I want, just for those who are still like hard to grasp this, even like some of you guys, $30,000, you're like, that's impossible. That's what I make in a year. You can't fathom it.
Right.
But I want to set this bar even higher. Mm-hmm. You have a $250,000 offer.
Yes.
And people give you money for $250,000, and the fulfillment's not like you come and work for them for the next 10 years of your life. It's a one-day thing, right? Like, talk about just how you have the mentality to like, I'm going to try a whole
I'm going
tier
to keep
above
lifting.
it.
Yes, yes. Well, you know what's so cool is like the more you raise your prices, the easier everything becomes. Like the client is more amazing than you've ever thought possible. The work is less than you ever imagined possible, and just the entire experience feels effortless. So when I grasped the fact that people will pay whatever it is, like that you could possibly imagine, as long as you can get them the result. So if I can make someone $1 million, and you've made like 40 million bajillion millionaires, like if I could help someone else make $1 million, they would gladly trade me $250K for that $1 million. So that's the thing. It's like, I'm not going to work 10 years. It's like, I can help you get this result in one day, like you can. So it's like, let's just, hey, this would be more fun if we just like didn't talk for 12 months, but we just like hung out for one day. You know what I mean? It's like, that sounds way more fun. It doesn't even require a lot of logic. You're just like, yep, I could totally help you make $1 million. So I'll take your 250 and I'll trade you $1 million. Mm-hmm. And then they often get more than $1 million. So I think it's just the exchange of value and not to be afraid. You know, I forget what Dan Kennedy calls it, but it's like price
elasticity.
Price elasticity, and he also talks price cowardice. He also talks about being cowardly. And so it's just not being afraid to raise your prices and even put more value on the work that you're providing people, and not be afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fascinating too. Like, I look at, we have programs every step along the way, and like the people that sign up for a free trial or for a, $27 offer or even a free book, typically are harder clients than the person who spent $50,000, $150,000, $250,000, which is interesting.
Yep.
And so by even looking and starting with high ticket, you bypass a lot of the stress and the headaches and things like that, right?
100%.
The client or the person is willing or able to write you a $30,000 check.
Yep.
They're a different caliber than someone who's not. So it's like, they're not as needy. They're not as, like, they've gone through the personal development to get to the point where they can write a check at that point. And so you don't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting of like, where someone bought a book for $7 off a free plus shipping offer. And I'm trying to help them understand, like, no, you actually can build a funnel. It's not that hard, or you can share your story, and and it's interesting.
The high ticket clients are the best.
Yeah,
the best. You actually enjoy it. I mean, you really, you're like, really, let's hang out. Like, there's so much fun. High ticket clients,
So there you go. So you 4 years ago got started. You launched a $297 high ticket offer, and then another one, $2 billion days, $250,000 offers. Like, what's next for you? Where are you going from here?
Well, my goal is to scale to $100 million. So that's my goal, but while working less than part-time. So I love leverage. I love space. I love time. I love high ticket, and I love selling one-to-many because it enables you to hit whatever it is that, your goal is, but still have so much freedom of time and family and fun. So that's my goal.
So cool.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to watch you as you're doing this goal, where's the best place for them to go?
Ooh.
Follow you in the journey.
Yeah, speakingschool.com. I have a free toolkit where you can learn all the stuff that I'm talking about. High ticket offers, self-esteem, so cool. So yeah, speakingschool.com.
Thanks, Eileen, for hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
And you guys can do it. If Eileen can do $1 million day twice, and if I can have you guys can do this. The biggest key is just like believing it's actually possible for you. And at first, your abilities might not be there yet, which is why it's like you have to start on this process, start on this path. Like Eileen had to sell a $297 offer before she felt 100%. Capable to do the next one and the next one. But it's just like getting on the process and the path. And as you do it, your skill set will increase. Your capacity will get bigger, and you get better and better. And honestly, the sky's the limit. So thank you for being such a cool example of all that, and set a goal for everybody else to go and hit their $1 million day as well.